one, you're live.
Welcome to the best sports betting show on the planet. This is WagerTalk Today. I am your host, Andy Lang. It is Friday, and we're setting up a big weekend. MLB is back. UFC is on deck. We got plenty of angles to break down before we get to baseball. So let's close the week strong. Let's get ready for the weekend. We got a lot of units to stack up. Gianni's going to join us. Should have a big day for the Steam Report with MLB being back in full force. Marco's going to join us. We're going to talk Tigers and Rangers. We're also going to talk just a little bit of NBA and some betting strategy for Marco. And then Andrew Babakitis is going to join us. We're going to talk UFC 318. Where is the action? There's one line that is baffling me. I'll get Gianni's take on it too, because there's a line movement that I don't get in the slightest. And then Dan and I are going to break down the San Francisco 49ers monster season win total at 10.5. So thank you very much for joining us, everyone. Hit that like button. Let's get started and bring in Gianni. Gianni, I'm guessing we got a pretty good Steam Report with MLB. I've been looking at some of the line movements. Looks like we got quite a bit going on. What are you seeing so far this morning? And happy Friday to you, sir.
Good morning, Block, my man. Welcome to the party. Yeah, busy. Couple signs and totals. Most of the totals got hit overnight. I haven't released any baseball yet to subscribers. I'm always cautious the first day back. So, waiting for more information to come in. And as I always talk about, the guys from up north, they bet about an hour from now. So if anything confirms, subscribers, you will be receiving baseball probably within the next 90 minutes during this live Steam room. But what I can share, I did release a summer league play. I know you guys are fans of those. 4% play on Utah Jazz plus the 2, Utah Jazz plus 2.5. We took 2.5. We took plus 2 as well. On the Utah Jazz, sprinkle a little bit of money line, but Utah Jazz 4% play means 1% of bankroll in summer league. That's all I have for summer league so far. Here's what we got in Major League Baseball. I'll get the totals out of the way quick because again, most of those were overnight numbers. Definitely won't be available right now, but at least you know why they moved. 980 over 10.5 up to minus 130 Minnesota Colorado. 968 over 8 up to minus 130 White Sox Pittsburgh. And 955 over 8.5 up to minus 120 St. Louis, Arizona. A couple of the sides that got hit already. 952 Washington plus 140. 959 Athletics plus 120. 964 Texas even money. 966 Seattle minus 115. 968 Cubs minus 125. And last but not least, Chicago White Sox plus 145. That's game 969. So a couple coin flips that they took plus money on and small pick'ems that they laid minus 110, minus 115 on favorites. But again, still early in the day. But baseball's back, baby. Second half of baseball, always tons of opportunities, especially as they get down a little bit later and you get a lot of the clubs bringing up the youth. The teams that know they're not in the playoffs, they're mathematically eliminated more or less. They start bringing up the youth. Those teams tend to be undervalued because they're the standings. They look awful in the standings, but all of a sudden you have a motivated team. Like those are some money makers during the summer. Some of those teams that did so bad in the first half that they're bringing up the youth, but the youth wants to make the team. Like they don't want to be sent back down the AAA ball. They want to make MLB roster. So these guys are actually showing up and playing. And I think that's why on some of these season win totals on teams that have been so poor in the first half that are definitely eliminated from any playoff contention, we went over in the second half, expecting exactly that sure, the veterans probably don't care anymore. They know they're not making the playoffs. They may have given up on the season, but when you bring these young guys, all of a sudden they have reason to play each and every night. So now you get an undervalued team that's motivated. And we all know, we've talked about it when the season started, everyone's going to be between winning close to 40% of their games and 55% of their games, right in that 15% margin. You can make some money, man. Teams to get into that little window or teams to get out of that window.
Yeah, you have these teams that have different rosters at the end of the season. It's like hardly any of the normal starters are even playing there. A couple of moves I wanted to ask you about. The San Diego, Washington. I'm guessing this is a fade of Dylan Cease. I don't know. It seems a little bit risky because the Washington pitcher hasn't been that great. But you got 2 losing pitchers, but I guess that's more of a just take the big plus money odds on that one. And then the other one, Boston and the Cubs. Wanted to ask you about that one. That seems a little odd to me. They're fading Giolito, who's been lights out. That, I don't know, seems a little risky. Is that, I don't know if you can tell, is that public money coming in? Like everyone loves the Cubs, or I'm wondering what they're seeing with that line move.
Yeah, no, the Cubs line, I can tell you right now, is getting public money. It got a little bit of sharp money as well early, but since then it's been mostly public money that's pushing that line up. I kind of lean Cubs a little bit myself, to be honest with you. I just don't think I'll be able to bet that later number. But they got down 125. That's what I bet it for them when that number was available. In San Diego, Washington, I think it's the splits with San Diego. I mean, if you're going to fade them, you probably want to do it on the road, where they're 5 games under 500. Now returning from the break. Going into the break, they were playing pretty good. I mean, they won 3 of their last 4, but that's usually a bad thing. Like when you're running hot, you want to keep playing. When you have momentum, you want to keep playing. Where with Washington, I think that's exactly what you need. When you're running as cold as Washington, the break is a good thing. We talk about it in the NFL all the time. Like the bye week couldn't be worse when a team's playing great. When they're having 500 yards of offense and they've won and covered 3-4 straight games, the last thing you want is a bye week. The last thing you want is a break. But when a team goes in there having lost their last 3, they're underperforming the betting market, not covering by 10, 12 points. That's exactly the type of team that needs an all-star break or a bye. And I think that's kind of that perfect storm where Washington, they won one of their last 9 games heading into this bye. I think that was definitely needed by them. And again, 2 pitchers that haven't been winning ball games for their teams, and both of them are hittable. I mean, look at San Diego with Cease. He's given 6 earned runs in 2 of his last 5 starts. Only one since he's given below 3. I think a hittable guy on the road. I think that's why they're on Washington.
I'll give you my fade today. It's the Angels, who could barely decide on a starting pitcher coming out of the All-Star break. Like you had all this time and you could barely figure out who's your starting pitcher. That's a team I want no part of. I want to talk UFC here because there's a couple lines that have moved. Want to get your thoughts on there. I'll start with the one I don't understand at all. What's up with all the money coming in on Kyler Phillips? This one I can't figure out. This guy has no cardio once it gets to the 3rd round. He just let Rob Font. He won the first round against Rob Font, and they got dominated in rounds 2 and 3. I'm not sure what people like about him, and I have had a spot-on read on Kyler Phillips. I've bet on him. I've bet against him. I've been spot on. I don't get this line at all. You have any intel?
Yeah, great. I'm so glad you zeroed in on that fight because we actually talked about it on my weekly UFC podcast, The Gambler's Perspective, which you could get the link on my Twitter at Greek_Gambler. And actually, me and Nick disagree this week on our matchups. That's actually a fight we spoke about. And here's why I think the money came in on Kyler Phillips, and it came in immediately. And I actually expected that to happen, to where we taped UFC on the Line last Friday. They aired it this Monday, and they make it look like it's live, but it wasn't. We didn't even have props. We did it last week. And when we're taping 2 weeks out, it's hard to handicap a matchup. So what I do is I handicap the betting line, and I try to determine which way the line's going to move, and try to get out ahead of it, place good bets. And it's worked out for me on the show. That's why, again, it's not the brag, but this is our 7th season. I've won 5 of 6 seasons. I've turned the prop in. Last year was my best. But I just don't focus on trying to predict the winner. I focus on where I think the line's going to go and get out ahead of it. And it's worked out in that show because, again, we tape early, always way in advance. So here's why I gave out Kyler Phillips on that show in advance, because you got to remember how these 2 fighters are coming off. You got Kyler Phillips, who's coming off a loss, but he closes a minus 630 favorite. On the flip side, you have Vinicius Oliveira. He's coming off back-to-back wins. So he wins as a plus 170 dog against Simone. Tough out, always a tough out. And then he closes a 2-1 dog against Nurmagomedov. Just that name, Nurmagomedov, you're going to pay a premium for.
Yes.
The fact that Oliveira got past him as a 2-1 dog, and on the other side of it, again, you have a fighter like Phillips coming off losing as a minus 630 favorite. I knew the sharps were going to bet on Phillips because their reasoning is this. Had that fight not happened, or more importantly, had he won as a minus 600 favorites, because minus 600s usually win, very rarely do they lose. Had he won that fight against Font, what would this line be? Where would this line be?
Okay.
Possibly Oliveira may not even be the favorite in that matchup, beaten Font. And the argument, though, is from the guys that like the Oliveira side, and I think this makes sense as well. We may conclude, Andy, 6 months from now or a year from now, that Oliveira actually should have been a 2-1 favorite over Kyler Phillips. You know what I mean? It's just, you just don't know that yet. So you're kind of projecting. And I think that's where they saw value on Kyler Phillips, that this is closer to a coin flip than one fighter being, a minus 150 over the other. And they're both coming off fights. One, whereas a 200 dog, you're usually going to lose, and a minus 600 favorite, usually going to win. The opposites happened. So I think they saw that line having a lot of recency bias to it. That's what I expected, and it followed suit. That's why you're seeing that money coming on Phillips. Rest assured, come Saturday, that line's going to move back up.
It's already started. Yeah, it's already started moving this morning. I've seen. So
it's going to go back up. I talked to guys that like Oliveira, whose opinion I respect. So they'll be betting him.
I'm all over Oliveira. So, I like that one as well. All right. And then just before we get you go, Max Holloway, Dustin Poirier, you seeing any movement come in? If anything, it's Holloway money at this point, I think, but my guess is the Dustin Poirier money pours in on Saturday for his retirement fight.
Yes, you nailed it, brother. That's exactly what is going to happen. The Max money came in immediately. Poirier opened as a dog at the first book that went to market. That didn't last at all. Max money came in, and that continued. And I think that the Dustin bettors just see that line climbing. So what are they in a rush for? I could have got plus 110 yesterday. I could get plus 115 today. Tomorrow, I could probably get plus 125. So I think they're waiting. And I think a lot of the recreational bettors that will be on Dustin haven't gotten to the window yet. It's been sharp Holloway money so far, not recreational bettors, but there will be sharp bettors on Poirier also, especially where the line sits right now. Because you got to remember, these guys are betting numbers. And a lot of guys I spoke to, they said that they all mimic the same thing. They're betting the dog. If Max was the dog, they'd be betting Max. Now, Poirier's the dog, they're going to be betting Poirier. So to them, it's just about the number. And, I think you're going to see sharp bettors on Poirier. You're going to see public bettors on Poirier, and that line's going to drop. I bet Max Holloway. It's a 3% play for me. It would have been a 4% play had I not had opposition, guys I respect on the Dustin Poirier side. But that's usually going to be the case. In most fights that are below 200, you're going to get two-way sharp action. The difference is what numbers they're betting it at. You know what I mean?
Sure.
They're taking higher plus and laying lower minuses than where the market sits right now. It's usually they both got good bets at different numbers. And that's what usually happens in MMA. But I personally think it's a really good card. I think, it's more favorite heavy, but that's usually the case.
Just going back to baseball before we let you go, you mentioned you take it maybe a little bit light when we're coming out of it. So any games that kind of that you're like, yeah, that's an exact reason why I take it light, like teams that you don't want to bet on or teams you're a little worried about coming out of the break today?
Well, yeah, you got to. You have to. I'm not like, teams like I'm excited to bet. I still got to slow down because we have a long second half. Like you guys know, I'm high on the White Sox in the second half. I'm going to be looking for reasons to bet the White Sox in the second half. I'm going to be looking for reasons to fade the Dodgers in the second half. I'm going to be looking for reasons to fade Detroit in the second half. I already have those teams isolated. And if you bought the package that has the 6 season win totals and the 3 futures, then you know what teams we've isolated and are looking to back and looking to fade. And that's it right now. It's just being selective, Andy, and waiting for those opportunities, waiting for these teams to regress and progress towards the mean, just like we did in the first half, where we started fading those teams that got out really hot, started betting those teams that came out really cold. And now we have a big enough sample size that we could just rinse and repeat in the second half. We already know what we're expecting from these teams. Now it's just a matter of, finding positions to fade or back them. But slow and steady wins the race when it comes to baseball, because you're going to have so many betting opportunities.
I love it. We got a big weekend, Gianni. Tell everyone what you have up for clients this weekend.
Oh, yeah. You'd already know the NFL and college football season win total futures package is up. I added 4, I think, college football season win totals yesterday. Every one of them was a 4% play. So I think you got 6 futures in there now already. More will be coming throughout this month and part of August. I have the UFC 318 package up with a 5% play. You already know 70% on my last 35%. Number one over the last, I think 365 days. Number one in MMA on those 5%. And the baseball package will be up within the next 60 minutes once my guys from up north fire. And as you know, we have the Steam Room going off in 45 minutes. If you are a long-term subscriber, or even if you signed up over the last 24, 48 hours and have a week or more, you should have gotten the invitation as well. Come to the Steam Room. We'll go over everything. Baseball second halves, little football futures, baseball for today, MMA for Saturday. We have, I think, PFL as well. So we got a lot to talk to. Be in the Steam Room. Don't be late. 1 p.m. Eastern. We'll knock it out within 60 minutes. Thank you, Da. Love you guys, man. Thanks for the support.
Thank you, Gianni. Nobody does it better. And yeah, that's if you bet like Gianni, or you want to bet like Gianni, that is just a really, really good explanation of how you can predict where the money is going to go, and you can get outside the line, or you can get the best of the line movement. So it was a great explanation on how he did that right there. So we have a new promo that went up today. It's a great one. They always love running these really great promos in the summertime. You can get all of August for $2.99, but the quicker you get it, you get the rest of July for free. So this is a smoking deal going into the weekend, especially when we have baseball back, we have UFC, we've got all kinds of sports. And August for only $2.99, but don't wait until August. Get it right now, because every day that you get in July is going to be free. So if you're interested in getting to 30 days, you can extend that to 40, 45 days. So big weekend. If there's a handicapper that you've been wanting to try, go for it right now. That way you get plays starting now. Every day in July is going to be free. So it's 30 days in July, or in August, and you get the rest of July for free. Absolutely smoking deal. That's on the deals page over at WagerTalk. So, all right, Dan, let's go all around the world. We got a nice all around the world edition today. We got PFL, we got baseball, and then Dan's going to join us to do a player prop in Premier Lacrosse League. Let's start with baseball. These two plays are on the WagerTalk free picks page. White Sox at the Pirates. Like the Pirates under 4.5 on the team total. Pirates are averaging 3.3 runs against righties, and as home favorites against righties, under 4.5 runs 68.4% of the time this year. That's from Ronald Kabang. And then Cardinals at Diamondbacks. Like the Cardinals at plus 108. Fat has bad numbers against the Cardinals. Diamondbacks bullpen has been bad. Both these pitchers are actually better on the road than they have been at home. So we're going to take the Cardinals at plus 108. And we go to PFL. Happy Dakota Ditch of a week, everybody. She's going to be the big draw. But look at the undercard. Justin Clark, minus 148 over Giselle Awa. There are some really bad fighters on this card. This is PFL Africa. There are some horrific fighters on this card. Dan, you're getting ready to come on. This is how bad Giselle Awa is. His last fight, he lost, and he got knocked out, okay? Except it was in power slap. His laughing. I see you laughing, shaking your head.
Tells you everything you need to know.
So this guy is going to fight a professional fight, but he just got knocked out.
He just got the shit slapped out of him, for
Yes.
lack of a better term. Okay.
Yeah, so Justin Clark is only 2-0 as a professional, but he starts off very strong. He applies a lot of pressure, and anybody that's getting knocked out in power slap is not getting my money, so give me Justin Clark. You got a player prop that you like for PLL. Tell us about that one.
Yeah, PLL action tonight. We have one play loaded for clients with you over at Andy's page, wt.buzz/AL. That game goes tomorrow, a nice underdog spot. But tonight we're looking at a guy who has just climbed in the MVP market. This game going this evening. It's New York taking on California, and we're taking the New York attackman Connor Schellenberger to go over 2.5 goals. As I alluded to, Andy, just a week ago, this guy was 50-1 in the MVP marketplace. He's now the second favorite at 5-1. Main reason is this guy's coming off a 7-point outing last week. 4 goals he scored. He's only had 3 hat tricks this season, or 3 games with 3 or more goals. But last season versus the Redwoods, he had 4 goals and 7 points facing off against them. So I think it's a really nice matchup. Defense doesn't set up well, and the Redwoods are just in a free fall right now. They've lost 4 straight games after starting 2-0. No reason to think that New York, who's trending up, shouldn't continue. Connor Schellenberger has been a huge part of that. So let's go over his 2.5 goals at a nice, juicy plus 126 price. Little plus money player prop for you. Connor Schellenberger tonight in PLL over the 2.5 goals.
I love it. I love it. And I'm wondering if Dan, as a producer, is worried that I'm drinking coffee out of a cup and wearing a white shirt.
I was a little bit worried, but Andy, I do have my coffee in a cup next to me. So if yours is going down on your computer, mine's going down on my computer.
Well, I'm worried about the white shirt thing because if you spill yours, nobody notices. Get on the white shirt. Now we got trouble. Roger asked, after a while, isn't some brain damage causing such decisions? Sadly, yeah. You're seeing these guys in Power Slap and also in BKFC. These guys need money. That's just the facts. If you're not a very, very famous fighter, you don't get paid a whole lot. So guys take chances and they go into sports that they probably have no business being a part of. And sadly, that is the reality of it. And my job is to make money. And if he's willing to do that sport, I am willing to bet against him. That is how we build bankrolls in those sports. So it's sad but true. I follow all of them. You see guys making terrible decisions. But if they're going to put a line out and I can find an advantage, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it every single time. So it's one of the reasons why we're number 1 in MMA profits in 2025. So we got some really good feedback on bankroll management when we did that the other day. Several people reached out and said, hey, can you talk more about that? Sure, we can. I'll talk a little bit about it. It's going to be a great segue to bring in Marco. So I look at my bankroll as part of my investment portfolio. I have 3 different pieces. Call it what you will. I have my crypto, I have my stocks, and I have my sports betting. And what we've been doing with the sports betting is we just recently lowered to really, really low volume, mostly based around this new tax bill. That thing is going to stick. So we need to hit at a higher percentage, and I'm going to bet more per bet than I normally do. So you guys have heard me talk about flat betting 2%. I'm probably bumping that to 3%. Why? We only have 6 plays that are in for this week. Last week we had 10 plays. We went 7 and 3 for 5 units. Perfect. That's what we're going to do. So I'm looking at the rest of the year, lowering the volume and upping how much that we put on to try and increase that part of the portfolio. Last week, I brought in 5%. I do that, I'm going to be rich. So that's part of the bankroll management that we are working towards, and I'll walk you guys through it. I'm looking at 2 golf plays that should be getting ready to cash, looking forward to those, and then we move to PFL and UFC. If you want to join us on our UFC and PFL plays, we have a pack that's up, UFC and PFL best bets. There's 3 of them in there. Those are plays that we bet with our own money. So that's how we do it. And if you guys want me to talk about it more, I'll be more than happy to share with you some of my numbers and some of the things that I'm in. I'm not a financial advisor, just a guy talking on the internet. That's the official disclaimer. So I want to bring in Marco here. Marco, we're going to talk baseball, but real quick, I do want to bring up WNBA because it's just a perfect bridge here. In WNBA, I looked this up. You're 42 and 18 the last 2 years for plus 57 units. So you have had 60 plays the last 2 years, and yet your returns are better than the S&P, than most of these stocks, than probably Bitcoin, than probably, maybe, no, not XRP just over the last week, but that price was so low. But this is what I love about it. You're low volume, you pick your spots, and you hit it at an insane rate, and you don't have to worry about it that much. So give me 57% over the last couple seasons, and I wanted you to talk about how you keep it low volume, what's your secret to this, and how this is a perfect way to turn your sports betting portfolio profitable.
Well, Andy, I've always been a low volume guy. That's just been my nature. And why? Because, I'm in this for the long haul. And I don't like, a lot of variance. And I'm not saying that the way anybody else does something is, that my way's better, their way's better. This is the best way for me. Everybody has their own style. And for me, I would rather play a little bit more on the games but play less games than rather spreading out and have 10 or 15 plays, every day. I pick my spots. We've only had, 48 and 12, 60 plays over the last, 2 seasons in the WNBA, but, or 42 and 18, I'm sorry. But, hitting 70% for 2 years is absolutely phenomenal. And, if you had asked me, did I expect that kind of return? I'm going to be honest, no. But there's a lot of inefficiencies in this particular market. And probably over half of those plays have been player props. We've had sides, we've had totals, but most of the plays do come in with player props. And I think that the reason for that and why it's so bad is, we all joke, nobody wants to watch the WNBA. Well, if you're not watching it, you're missing some entertaining basketball. I know that sounds lame, but I do enjoy watching the games, and I go to all the games here in Vegas with the Aces. But what happens is the people setting the lines on these player props, Andy, this is how they do it. They look at the season average for each player. Okay, player X is averaging 22 points per game. That means their player prop's going to be either 21 and a half or 22 and a half. If they had a couple games in a row where they went over or under their season average, then they'll adjust it that direction. They don't take into account that every team has different rosters and different strengths. Some teams' strengths are their inside play, the front court. The other teams, it's the back court. Well, player props, every game, there's going to be a different game plan, and you've got to understand the teams and what their strengths are and how they're going to attack. And, the other night I had, a 4% play. It came so close to being my first 5% play ever in the WNBA. That's how much I liked it. But, I just don't throw those plays out for the sake of throwing them out. But I had Asia Wilson over 21 and a half. That was just an absolutely insane number. Dallas has nobody inside to contain her. The total was 21 and a half. She had 20 points at the half. Scored the 22nd point 15 seconds into the second half. Easiest cover that we had. It's about matchups and not season averages. And that's where I've made the money at.
Yeah, I agree. I love when the books use the algorithm. They're going to be right 99% of the time on those, but we only need that one perfect one that is a little bit out of whack. So I love it. It's really, really important. And honestly, Marco, with this new tax bill, I've run the numbers a million times, and it is the way to get them is low volume and higher percentage on the bets. Like I said, I've run the numbers ad nauseum. That's the only way that I can come up with it. So I love that strategy. Let's talk about, let's go to baseball. Let's talk a little baseball here. And we have a lot of Tigers fans at WagerTalk in the WagerTalk chat. So you got Tigers and Rangers. What's your breakdown on this game today?
Well, you look at this game and you got two teams that went into the break opposite ends of the spectrum. Detroit was good all year, but the final 4 games of the first half, they lost all 4 games. Texas won 3 out of 4. Gianni mentioned it, and it's something, I always talk about and agree with. In football, the bye week. You don't want to stop when you're winning, but whenever you're losing, you need that push the reset button. And I expect that's what's going to happen with the Tigers tonight. I think they're going to come out tonight, first game after the break, and I think they're going to have a good performance. And why shouldn't they? They got Reese Olson on the mound. Now, you may not know him because when you're on a pitching staff that has Scoobo on it, you're going to get lost in the shuffle. But here's a guy that's had 8 straight starts where he's allowed 3 runs or less. That in itself is good. 5 of those 8 starts, he's given up 0 or 1 run, okay? But most people don't realize how good he is because he gets lost in the shuffle behind, who's going to be the AL, Cy Young winner. I like him tonight. He's going to be going against Pat Corbin. Now, I know last year we used to, beat Pat Corbin like a rented mule. Everybody would be lining up every time he pitched because he didn't pitch well. He's pitching better this year, but he's ultra consistent. You know what's going to happen when he takes the mound. He's going to give you 5 innings, but he's going to give up 2 or 3 runs, and then he's going to turn it over, to the bullpen. Well, if he's going to give up the 3 runs and Olson's going to give up in most of these starts 0 or 1, I know where I want to put my money at. in this particular game, and that's going to be with Detroit. And another thing with Corbin, now this game opened up, Detroit was a slight favorite. So this particular stat I'm going to give you doesn't work technically anymore, but you might want to write it down for future reference because Corbin now is a slight favorite instead of an underdog. When he's plus 100 or more at home, in his career, his team is a god-awful 18-48. But as I said, he's crossed over to a slight favorite right now. So throw that out, but write it down for future. But what still is in play, the Texas Rangers at home versus right-handers, they're only averaging 2.8 runs per game. All right. If they don't score against right-handers, and I got Olsen that pitches as well as he does, I'm going with Detroit here for our first play of the second half. Let's take the Tigers.
You just made a lot of friends in our chat, Marco. You just made a lot of friends. Awesome breakdown. And let's. So this is interesting because the chat loves the Tigers. You like the Tigers today, and Gianni's fading the Tigers for the second half of the season. So we'll see how that goes. Marco, what do you have up at Wager Talk? We got a big weekend coming up.
Well, today is opening day at Del Mar. If you like to play some horses and you like to play some baseball, today's the day to pick me up. We've got some plays from Del Mar. Usually I'm there. This year I'm not there for opening day, but I did handicap the card, and we've got some spot races that we are attacking today. So you'll get all of those plays in the package. You'll get my baseball for today. But, why buy today for $29? You mentioned the special that's going on. That's the best deal going. Buy August for $2.99. You're going to get all of July. And what's for free? And it's the dog days of summer, but we're building a bankroll right now for football season. You're going to get spot plays the rest of the summer in horses. There's a lot of big races coming up. You're going to get my WNBA plays that we talked about, 42 and 18, and you're going to get my baseball plays. We had a profitable first half. Let's have a profitable second half and lead right into football. Grab that $2.99. That is the best deal going, and you'll pick up the rest of July for free.
Marco D'Angelo, awesome stuff. To me, the WNBA knowledge is much more valuable than a single game breakdown. It's the strategies. You put good systems and good strategies in place. That's what's going to get you long-term success. So thank you very much, Marco. Thank you for sharing all that. Good luck this weekend. And yeah, take advantage of that. Get all of Marco's plays for August and get the rest of July free. Have a great weekend, Marco. Marco D'Angelo, everyone. Yeah, a couple questions about unit size. Fortunat. So when we talk about percentages, 1% equals 1 unit. So me personally, I try to tell people what I think they should do, and I have given up because I've learned that everyone does it different. Me personally, I bet 2% of my bankroll. I flat bet on everything. At the end of the month, I reset my bankroll, determine what is 1% / 1 unit, and then I bet 2%. I'm upping that now to probably 3% just because we are so low volume. I mean, we only have 6 plays for clients. It's the best of the best of the best. So that's how I'm looking to attack it moving forward. So that's what we mean when we say 1% or, one unit. And I agree that 3% is probably the max that we should be betting on those. Our percentages are a little bit more of a confidence thing. So, but I know there are people out there that get plays and they play way too much on the bankroll. So if you're watching this show, I imagine you're probably one of the responsible ones. So that's what I mean with 1% and 1 unit. All right, let's bring in Andrew Babakitis. We got to talk UFC 318. Andrew, we got to start with the main event, Holloway and Poirier. We've been talking about this one all week. My guess is that you guys are going to get flooded with Poirier money tomorrow. And my guess is you've been taking mostly Holloway money. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, you're definitely right. We opened this one. We've had this one up for quite a while. We opened this one at the beginning of May. We opened a flat pick 'em, -110 both ways. Like you said, we did get some early Holloway money. We're currently sitting -135 on max now. And I wouldn't be shocked if this thing comes back down a bit if we get some Poirier money tomorrow. I know he won the first 2 times they fought, but we're looking to try to position ourselves to need max. I know a couple of the guys in the back really think that's the side. I mean, how confident can you be in a pick? But yeah, they like the max side. A couple of the guys in the back.
Any fight surprising you with what money's coming in? I've been stunned at how much money's coming in on Kyler Phillips. I'm wondering if you guys have been taking more money on Kyler Phillips.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, because you usually ask me what my favorite play was, I would say kind of going against the sharp guys in that one. I'm thinking now that this price keeps getting a little bit more fair on Vinicius, we opened at minus 190 on that side, and we're all the way down at minus 140. We have got tagged a couple times by some of our winning customers, plus 160, plus 150 on that Phillips side. But yeah, I mean, the price has been crashing all week. So the closer this thing gets to a pick, the more I'm kind of looking at this and circling this fight as one of them that's more bettable for sure.
All right. Each week I give you a violence parlay. There's a lot of them this week that I really like. I'm actually just going to go with a single one. I'm interested you've taken money on it. I've got the under on Michael Johnson and Daniel Zellhuber. Michael Johnson's coming off of two wins. Not that impressive. And Zellhuber's got this really long length that I think he can grab a submission at a long distance and get a standing like guillotine or Darce. He's also got really good striking that Michael Johnson, I just don't think at his age, is going to react well to, and I don't think he's going to get out of the way. I don't think this fight goes the distance. It's minus 165. It's a touch juicy. Yeah, I could throw like the Dolotov at minus 700 or the Span Dresky at minus 900, but really it's about that Zellhuber fight. Have you taken any money on the under on that one?
No, we're sitting 2.5 minus 120 on the under. So yeah, real close to a pick 'em on that 2.5 line. But yeah, I really don't hate that angle. I really haven't done too much looking into that fight, but your breakdown makes a lot of sense. I feel like at this point of Michael Johnson's career, he could be finished, and there's always the chance he goes out there and gets the finish because you know he's going to be, throwing hands like he always does.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Phillips fight. You're on the other side. I'm with you 100%. I'm on the other side. I love Oliveira, and I'm not that big of a fan of Kyler Phillips. Any other fights that you personally like?
Yeah, there's been some good sharp plays around the board. I wouldn't say I really love the Vettori side, but we have been getting hit on Vettori kind of when the price was over plus 200. We got hit at plus 225. And yeah, that price has moved pretty aggressively. I know they already fought in the lobby like a few days ago, but yeah, I still think Brendan Allen's going to get the cash there, but there has been a big amount of action on Vettori in that one. And then a big sharp play on Jimmy Crute early in the week at minus 250. That is now sitting at minus 350. So those are a couple of the fights that I've seen some good action on.
All right, we got a question there. Are you taking anything sharp on WNBA All-Star? Anything? I mean, you guys probably hated it when Caitlin Clark got rolled out of the 3-point contest. That probably took some action away. But you guys seen anything with WNBA?
Yeah, I know the total has moved a ton. People are expecting a lot of points, so that's something that we saw an influx of money coming in. We're trying to put up some unique props. We're putting up who will score the first 4-point play, just a bunch of random stuff. But yeah, I'd say the sharpest thing we saw was early money on the over.
Early money on the over. All right. Tell everyone where we can find you at, what you guys have going on over there.
Yeah, so we're going to do some reduced juice on some of these splits on the UFC fights tomorrow. I know that Max Holloway fight is close to a pick, so I'm sure we'll do a 10-cent line on that one. So if you're looking to bet that fight, you're not going to find a more fair price than betting it over here. Yeah, and if you haven't followed me on X yet, please do. I try to share as much info from behind the counter that I'm able to give you guys. And like always, I really enjoy coming on here and talking fights with you. The next 2 cards we're looking at are pretty stacked. Bummed about Aaron Pico fight getting pulled, but these next 2 fight cards I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm loving it. So Andrew Babakitis, and he is a good follow on X. I love the information you give out. You're one of the ones I look forward to when I see it come up on the timeline. So thanks for coming on, Andrew. Have fun and enjoy UFC 318.
Thank you.
JD in chat says, I got the dog, Michael Johnson, in that one. Perfect fight for MJ coming off 2 wins. So we were simply a younger version of MJ. I'll go head to head with you, JD, for a little gentleman's bet. Come back Monday. One of us gets bragging rights. You're going to get way more bragging rights since you're taking the dog, but respect the opinion on that one. So join us on Monday, and we'll see who gets that one. So one more time, guys, the only plays that we have up for sale are the UFC and PFL. I just put them in one pack. So we got 2 UFC plays. We got 1 PFL play. If we see any props come out in PFL, those will be included. When we put up that pack, there were just no round props. So if they come out tomorrow or maybe this evening, we'll be putting those in. But we are still the number 1 MMA handicapper. PFL's been going really good this year. UFC, we stumbled in June, but we got back to the winning ways last week. So looking forward to adding more units. And again, these are plays that I use as part of my investment portfolio. These are plays we play with our own money. Any plays that we put out, if you're invested, we're invested as well. So take advantage of that over at WagerTalk.com. All right, Dan, let's talk to San Francisco 49ers. Big number here, 10.5. Big number. It feels like this is a team that everyone wants to fade this year. And I got to be honest, I was looking at fading them too, and then I started researching, and I've come around. What's your take just at a distance on the 49ers?
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be probably like the pros versus Joes kind of split
Okay.
as far as like the 49ers win total is concerned. I mean, let's be real, there's not many Joes who are betting preseason win totals. This is definitely
it's a great point.
more professional bets that people put down. But the 10.5, man, it just feels like a really good number. I mean, let's start with what we saw from the 49ers last year. You know what I mean? Like I feel like it couldn't be any worse for the 49ers as it was last year. They had so many injuries. They had horrible scheduling spots. They were 2-5 in 1-score games last year that led to that 6-11 record that they had when their season win total was 11.5. So what do you see with the 49ers? It's bounce back time for them. And Andy, they'll be poised to have a really great potential for having a bounce back because they have one of the easiest schedules in the league for a team who, outside of last season and the hangover season that they had after they lost the Super Bowl, they've been an elite Super Bowl contender pretty much for the 9 years that Shanahan has been there. So again, one of the easiest schedules in the league. Not only that, Andy, they also sit top 5, top 3 in the rest differential as well. So really nice schedule. Really nice scheduling spots. But for me, we're going back to when we've talked about these teams are really going to go how the quarterback goes. And it's not so much that I think this team is going to go how Purdy goes. It's just the question of, is he going to be able to live up to the hype of the contract that he just got, right? A massive contract. They had a really good free agency, I would argue, because they got rid of a lot of the huge contracts that they had bogging them down, basically let all of their guys walk. I think Deebo Samuel leaving, that's a net nothing. They addressed a lot of their needs in the draft because they drafted for position, and a lot of them were defensive. And let's not forget that Robert Saleh is coming back to town. And the only reason that he was a head coaching candidate was what an absolute stud he is as a defensive coordinator. I don't think he really meshed well as a head coach. Some of these guys who are coordinators, they're not just cut out to be head coaches. But as a defensive coordinator, Saleh is top 2 in the league, right? And he's got a lot of talent behind him. For me, though, man, Christian McCaffrey, do we know if he comes back to form? We don't know. How does Purdy look with basically a whole new look wide receiver core? The 10.5 just feels right. I lean ever so slightly to the under, Andy, simply because the market and the sharps, they love the over for this team. And I just don't know if I'm as in love as this team heading into the season as the market maybe quite is, with all those question marks surrounding them, though they do seem poised that everything's lined up for them to have that bounce back for sure.
Yeah, so they lose Greenlaw, they lost Fonga, but they already got his replacement. So again, when you say net nothing, they lost Deebo, but Pearsall was coming off we'll call it an injury that he got shot.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of an injury. Expect him to take a big leap forward. Jawan Jennings, now he wants a new contract, but I imagine they'll get that worked out. Ayuk coming off ACL. I was stunned. PFF had their offense ranked 4th last year. His team won 6 games. 15th in defense, 10th in special teams. So Pro Football Focus has them ranked pretty high. 12th ranked offensive line going into the season. 21st defensive line is a little bit concerning. And then I go to the schedule. I said this in the chat. It looks like they made it themselves. It looks like the league was
really does.
Here, who do you want to play?
Yeah,
this is the schedule. At Seahawks, at Saints, Cardinals, Jags, at Rams, at Bucks, Falcons, at Texans, at Giants, Rams, at Cardinals, Panthers, at Browns, Titans, at Colts, Bears, Seahawks. What is this schedule? This is like their hardest game, I think, might be at Bucks. That legit might be the toughest game on paper. Because of that schedule, I can't believe I'm going to take an over on a 10.5 total on a team that won 6
Well, it makes
games.
sense.
But this schedule is ridiculous. If Purdy stays healthy and some of these other guys stay healthy, I'm going the over. If I get burned on a Purdy injury or McCaffrey's not 100% or something goes wrong, but I'm with you about Salah. He's fantastic on defense, and this schedule to me is everything. This is one of the craziest schedules I've seen. So I'm going to lean.
And that's why, Andy, for me, like on paper, I want to do an under, but on paper, you have to also factor in the schedule and I mean, this is the easiest schedule in the NFL. I mean, and their toughest games will all be games that are in the division. And really, when you're asking of what they're going to do in the division, the 2 toughest games are going to be when they have to face off against the Rams. So that for me, if I had to pick, that 10.5 just like I could see 10 wins. So that's why I lean towards that under. But again, the market disagrees with me, and I completely agree with you. The schedule is the make or break point, because you could also start off poorly as the 49ers, like sometimes they do. But Kyle Shanahan, after the bye week, the record speaks for itself. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but after the bye week, Shanahan coach teams go on absolute tears, and the schedule sets up. So you could be feeling like your under's looking really good, and then that back half of the schedule just blows it up in your face, because they could go on a complete win out streak, head into the playoffs as the hottest team in the NFL. That's a completely potential thing to happen.
All right, so you're gonna slightly lean under. Certainly not a play. I'm not betting this one, but just for purposes of the video.
All right, we're head to head again, Andy. Now all things are right in the world. We've been agreeing way too much, so now we're head to head again.
Yes, absolutely. All right, guys, it's been a great week for shows. We made it through one of the most boring weeks of the sports betting year, but we're ready to get to cash here on the weekend. Golf plays are looking fantastic, so I'm looking at adding a few units, and join me on my UFC and PFL pack. And also, if you want to get all access, there's a couple of lacrosse plays that are up a really nice future. That's plus 350. So join us on those, and any plays we have for the weekend will be included. Take advantage of that August special. You get August for $2.99. Every day included in July is free. So take advantage of that. Your favorite handicapper. If you want to join me and all my plays, take advantage of that. So thanks very much for joining us, guys. Have a great weekend. Good luck on your bets. Let's do it again Monday. Hopefully our bankrolls are a little bit bigger than they are today. Good luck on your bets, and take care.